Good morning, folks. This is Melanie MacDonald. I'm the host of the TGIF Business Networking Hangout, a hangout that I have been doing over here on Google Plus for about, I think since 2012 now. Something I started doing actually before Hangouts on air were available, and it was just private Hangouts. And I started doing these TGIF Business Networking Hangouts in order to do networking beyond local borders. And I've really enjoyed doing Hangouts. Well, today I did something different, and I held my first TGIF Business Networking Blab. That is, I did a TGIF Business Networking episode, but I did it through a new video platform called Blab. That's blab.im if you want to go to that site. And if you want to see mine, it's blab.im/1Melanie, MEILANI. That's the number 1 Melanie. That's my Twitter handle, and that's what you use on Blab. So I thought I would just share a review of my experiences of doing my first TGIF using Blab versus Hangouts. And what do I like about both platforms? Let me tell you, Blab is fabulous. This was my first official hosted Blab. I got 50 views on the Blab, and it just finished at 10 a.m. So that was within the hour that I was hosting the Blab, and maybe a half hour afterwards or so. But I've got 50 views on that Blab already. And in 3 days, well, 5 days, excuse me, 5 days on Blab, I have 61 followers over there, and I've increased my Twitter followership by about 40 people or so. Again, these were all people who were just exposed to me by either me jumping in on other Blabs that were going over those 5 days, getting some experience with it before I hosted my own today, and from hosting it today. Now, in comparison, my Hangouts, I get probably between an average of 25 to 50 views, but that's over time. So I don't get those views right away compared to the 50 views that I got right away over on Blab. So my finding is that Blab is really great for audience building over there on Twitter and Blab because it's easy to use. And as I interviewed people who came in, the difference between Blab and Hangouts is that it shows 4 screens. If you're used to Zoom GoToMeeting and all, it's sort of, you know, how they display 4 screens, it's like that, or Business Hangouts. So you have 4 seats available at any one time. The host takes one. And people don't have to be invited by the host. It made it easier for me. I didn't have to send out invites and kind of like sort of cajole people to come in. All people have to do is go to the Blab page, and when you start a Blab, it's posted out on Twitter, and people see it, and they go to the Blab page, and if you have a good title, they come in. So I was attracting people into my Blab without having to do a lot of work on it. I named it the TGIF Business Networking Blab, Hangouts, Marketing, and Networking. And people were coming in based on the title. When you are a Blab host, you see your video feed, and then it says open seat. And then if people want to join in, they see on their screen it says join or open seat or something like that, and they click on that, and then you get a request from the people to join in. You just have to click yes or no. You know, it's a check mark or an X to let them in. So it was easy to get the seats filled. I found it easier to get the seats filled on the Blab than the Hangout. Now, maybe this is because it's shiny new syndrome, and this was my first Blab over there, but I had no problem filling the seats. And I cycled through the seats a couple of times, so people were very gracious about, I'll give up my seat if somebody else wants to come in. The way I did it, as I have a 1-hour show format, I let the audience know that I will cycle the seats at every 15-minute intervals. So at 1/4 at 9:30, and at 9:45. But if they wanted to come in, please post a comment and let me know, because I didn't want to kick out anybody from a seat that they were in if there wasn't somebody else wanting to come in. So people did put in the comments that they wanted to join in. I'm going to share my screen for a minute and let you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so what you're going to see here is, this is my Blab page. Now, I did one Blab as a host that I was testing out before I wanted to do TGIF. Can playing in a virtual world benefit business creativity? Now, I am not making that one visible on my page, so anybody else who goes to my page won't see it. I see this because I said don't make it visible, because only 1 or 2 people came in. They were like kids. They were using language, shall we say. So it wasn't something that was fit for my business audience. Now, this is the TGIF Business Networking Blab that was recorded. When you start a Blab, you get a little off the record or on the record button, and you can press it to make it start recording, and it says on the record, and anybody in there will see it. You can also press off the record so that you can actually pause the recording. So if the conversation goes off tangent and you don't want really that showing in the replay, you can pause it, and when it gets back on topic, you can start it again. So if we go into the Blab, it's going to find the stream. And during a Blab, this is what the interface looks like. I will put on the replay up to there so you can see the 4 panels, 4 people in the seats. On the right-hand side here is the chat. And this is visible to anybody. It's not like a Hangout where your chat box inside the Hangout is only visible to people in a Hangout. Because with this Blab, you go to the Blab page, and anybody who goes to the Blab page can be watching the Blab, can be participating here, can request a seat, and they make it very easy to tweet. There's a Tell a Little Bird button, and people tweet out. Now, on my Twitter page, I'll show you in my notifications, these are all the tweets that were made during the show. So Nicole, Pamela, Unique Genius, Self-Rescuing Princess, Tony, T. Lee, these people all tweeted a tweet about my TGIF Business Networking Blab. It mentions who's in it. And these blabs are generated, these tweets are generated when you hit that Tell a Little Bird, and then all you have to do is press send. So when you hit the Tell a Little Bird button, it's not going to work now because this is the replay, but it will generate a blab that says TGIF Business Networking Blab, basically the title of your blab, and it'll list by name the people who have the seats in your blab, so it automatically mentions them. So when you have a seat in a blab, you get a lot of exposure. And you can see still going down here. So all these people, all these tweets went out during my show today. And I only did like 1 or 2 of them. These were all sent out by other people, retweeted, favorited. So you get a lot of really great exposure on Twitter when you do a Blab. It is a very integrated experience. It makes it very easy where you can click on somebody's name here, and even afterwards during the replay, their Blab card will pop up and you can follow them easily, or you can find them on Twitter. This is their Blab card, so if you hit follow, you're following them on Blab, or you can click the Twitter link and it'll take you to their Twitter page and you can follow them there. So I really loved the Blab experience. Everybody that came in really loved the Blab experience. They talked about how easy they found it to use and get into a Blab versus coming into a Hangout. It was always hard for them to find an invite for the Hangout to get in the seat. As a host, I didn't have to worry about going and finding guests. I didn't actually have any guests lined up for today. And if I was doing it as a Hangout, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't have a guest. I really need a guest, because the guests are really what draw people to Hangouts over here in Google Plus and using Hangouts. But on Blab, it's already a community experience. So it's not the guest so much as the topic and what you name your Blab, the title that you have. The other cool thing about Blab is that you can actually change that title and that topic midway through. So here, I'll share my screen again so you see what I'm talking about. So here's where the title is. And if we changed topic halfway through, I could highlight this title and I could change it, and it would change the title on the Blab page. It would change it in the tweets that were sent out. So let's say you, for the first half hour, talked about one topic. You would tell a little bird and tweet about it, and then you could change the title to talk about a different topic, tweet it again, and get other people, new people in who are interested in the new topic. So I'm a big fan of Blab, and I foresee that I will be doing a lot more TGIF Business Networking Blabs in the future, and doing these by Blab. Now, that doesn't mean I'm giving up Hangouts at all by any means. There are still a lot of things I like about Hangouts, like you can do private Hangouts, which you cannot do on Blab. Blab is public. It's all public. Anytime you start a Blab, anybody could be watching, and you don't have private Blabs available. But that's, you know, kind of the beauty of it. So if you're doing a show that you want to be public, and you want to be visible, and you want to be building audience, it's a great platform to use. Now, for a one-on-one client session, I would still use Hangouts. I can even record those one-on-one sessions with a client as a private Hangout on air recording, so that that client can go back and refer to the session again, which I do for my one-on-one clients. And that is a great service that Hangout fills. It's really great for doing private Hangouts within my private community. And Brian is saying send a link. Okay. You want to come in, Brian? Sure. Here. There you go. And here's another difference. Brian had to just IM me and ask me to send him a link. Or on a Hangout, I would have to post the link to the page if I wanted it to be available to the public, or I would have to invite people in. And with the Blab, it's just there. If there's a seat empty, they see an empty seat square, and they can click on it if they want to come in. Hi, Brian. I'm sure you have some thoughts you want to share on the Blab experience, as well as from the guest point of view versus the host point of view. If you're ready. Can we hear you yet? Say something. Oh, he's still working on it? Okay, so I'll go back to me. Oh, can't hear you yet. Oh, technical issues. Nope. And I think one of the things Brian is going to say is it's a lot easier for him to get into the Blab and not have technical issues than he experiences on the Hangouts. I'll go back to me for a second and continue talking about the host perspective. Yeah, so from the host perspective, it's easier. Now, as a host of a Hangout, the other thing is I have to watch the group chat and the chat box inside the Hangout, which is internal to the people inside the Hangout only. And then I also have to watch the event page for any comments that might be coming up in the Google Hangout from people who are just watching, and they're posting comments on the event page. Now with the Blab interface, it's all just one page and everything is public. So the comments there, everybody else can see the comments, but I can watch the comments there, and whether it's coming from people inside the Hangout or outside watching the Hangout, it doesn't matter. I am seeing them there. And I still mention the comments, and I asked the viewers, you know, is that redundant? Am I being like Sigourney Weaver on Galaxy Quest, where I'm just repeating the computer? Well, since everybody can see it, because I'm used to doing that as a host on Hangouts, but they said they still like it. It's nice to be mentioned. I believe Brian's sound is working now.
I'm here.
Yes, okay. Go ahead, Brian.
I don't remember the question, so ask me something. I'll tell you what you mean.
This is just a review of my after first TGIF Business Networking Blab experience, and I was just sharing my thoughts as a Hangout host and now Blab host on the differences and what I liked about Blab, what I like about Hangouts, but basically I'm just kind of very excited about the Blab experience. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a little bit easier as a host. Going into a Blab, I was kind of excited about the fact that I got 50 views already on my Blab. And on the Hangouts, you know, I average between 25 to 50, but that is over time. So with the Blab, I got 50 right away, you know, like already I have 50. And over time, we'll see if there's more. I don't know if Blab is so much about replays as it is about live, you know?
Well, I think that it corresponds to Twitter in terms of its immediacy.
Yeah.
And I think that with Twitter, you almost feel like there's no obligation to spend a whole lot of time, that it's implied with the 140 character limit, that it's kind of like you can pop in and pop out, see what's going on, be gone in 5 minutes, or stay for the whole conversation. In Hangouts on air, you kind of, in some ways, I think you commit to a block of time that you've arranged to be in a meeting situation to hear what's going on or whatever the presentation is. So I think there's a different mindset that works better for Blab as far as people wanting to just, let me get in on this conversation, see what's going on. Oh, this is cool. Let me see if I can join. Or, hey, it was interesting, but I got to go. And no sense of obligation in terms of timing there. So that appeals to me. I think that's what has me thinking that Blab is going to be easier. It's more instant messaging with video.
Right. And that was one of the things that appealed to me as the host on the Blab today was, well, just a little bit ago, I was sharing my screen with how many people sent out tweets about my Blab that was happening. A lot of the people that were watching, and not even just the people that were sitting in the seats, but people who were participating in the comments or watching or lurking, as they call it, they were sending out tweets about the Blab. And then those tweets a couple of those tweets got retweeted. So it was great for providing exposure on Twitter, audience growth on Twitter, faves coming in on those tweets on Twitter. And, you know, I'm getting added to a whole bunch of lists just in the last 3 days that I've been participating in Blab over on Twitter. So it's given me a whole lot of exposure very quickly, which is kind of nice.
It will be interesting to see the impact on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I think there are a whole lot of people who never will necessarily understand the value of Twitter or what it can do or anything else. And every time I explain it in a group of people, and you know the kinds of groups that I'm in, you get that look like, the heck is he talking about? How can that?
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand.
Brian, that's why I switched to networking online. I mean, you and I, we live in a community where it's, you know, they're not really about being online.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you're working in a comedy club called I Don't Get It.
Right. Well, no, I wouldn't say that, but it's not that they don't get it because they can't get it. It's just they're not interested so much in getting it. They're not interested in it. Basically, I think the community we live in, their greatest use of online is going on to Facebook and keeping in touch with the grandkids. That's what I found most of the people in our local area do as far as going online. Now there are some businesses that really use it well, and those are the ones with the younger owners, you know, like my little, what is it, my little flower shop in Palm Springs. They've got a great Twitter following, and some of the other businesses. But for the most part, at least in the networking mixers that I've gone to that were live on location networking mixers, that's why I stopped going to them.
In the interest of full attribution, that's a line from Dennis Miller, by the way. He said he was working in a comedy club in the Deep South called I Don't Get It. Anyway, I just I don't want to steal anybody's lines and not say who it was. I'm full of that. So yeah, I just don't know. I have to go. I have to meet with people who don't get it yet to bring them into here to see the value of it and then show them that it's actually going to help drive sales, or at least get them in front of more prospects. And the only way I can do that is to go see them in the offline situations, because they're not already online.
Right.
So I'm kind of stuck marketing in that forum. But it's hard, especially if you spend the time to prepare a presentation that shows people how you can use something like Hootsuite, and they still end up looking out at the room to see the eyes and the who's nodding and who's looking at you like you have 3 heads.
Yeah.
And you got to get used to that, and I'm still not.
Right. Well, that's okay. I'm going to go as well. Again, I just started this. This was kind of an off-the-cuff hangout. I was just like, oh, I had this great experience on Blab, and I thought I'd share it with other people out here on Google Plus who like Hangouts, who haven't done Blab yet, haven't heard about it. Thought I'd introduce them to it a little bit. So if you want to check out Blab, it's blab.im. And if you want to go and check out my Blabs, it's blab.im/1Maylani, which is where you'll find me on Twitter as well, 1Maylani. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll catch you later.